We're doing this new show within our show because I feel like we can help so many people. I've done 350 episodes, and every time I talk to someone on any of the episodes, whether it's to do with business or entrepreneurship, I get so many messages coming through going, can you talk more about entrepreneurship?
We're going to start off with starting from zero.
The entrepreneur in me was like, what's the next move for me in business? And the next move for me in business was to look at going online.
Why did you decide at the time in summer 2020 to say, I'm going to give a podcast a go?
2020, when a festival wasn't allowed to be put on, it was illegal to be put on in the UK, and when the pandemic hit, and I was like, right, I've got to think quickly here, let's go for it. Going back to anyone who's starting anything, there's lots of people out there procrastinate and just go, one day I will, before you know it, they're 16, 17, and they haven't actually done it, so they're going to have regret. What's the point of having regret when you can take a bit of risk? The biggest thing holding people back in business is the fear of being ridiculed by your friends. The success is you waking up and going, do you know what, I'm happy going to work. That's success. Are you happy going to work? Are you happy building something for you and your family? Or if you're in your 20s, you haven't got a family, you're building something for you.
Welcome to Ask Dodge. Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing it? That's a good question, Marky. I feel like we're doing this new show within our show because I feel like we can help so many people. You know, I've done 350 episodes, and every time I talk to someone on any of the episodes, whether it's to do with business or entrepreneurship or whatever, I get so many messages coming through going, can you talk more about entrepreneurship, rather than just being the host. I say just being the host, but actually being the host to all these different conversations I'm having, whether it's SAS, whatever it may be, superstars, criminal underworld, ex-policemen, whistleblowers, whatever. And then anytime I do the business and entrepreneurship, everyone just wants more. So why don't we just create our new show where people can just email in and we can just have amazing chats, and you can fire questions and me and you can have a chat about business and life.
And we give people more.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you back to summer 2020.
Summer 2020, okay.
So I'd kick my children out of the bedroom so I could store toilet rolls. And you said to me, I'm going to start a podcast. Why did you decide at the time in summer 2020 to say, I'm going to give a podcast a go?
I think what it was back then, obviously my businesses over the years have always been about people. Whether it's the nightclub world for 10 years, throwing lots of parties, and then going from inside a venue to then going outdoors was a massive step from 2008 to 2020, when my festival wasn't allowed to be put on. It was illegal to be put on in the UK when the pandemic hit. And I was like, right, I've got to think quickly here. How can I still put smiles on people's faces and bring people together? And what's happening with culture at the moment? And all I kept hearing was this word called podcast. And in 2020, there wasn't very many podcasts in the UK. Most people didn't really know what a podcast was, and certainly wasn't really listening to it. Massive in America, or it was a lot bigger in America. It's been going since, I think, 2005. And it was, the entrepreneur in me was like, what's the next move for me in business? And the next move for me in business was to look at going online. So I remember one of the members of staff who did love podcasts was like, why don't you do your own podcast? I was like, what does that entail? What does it look like? What have I got to do? What have I got to buy? What does it entail? What are the next steps? Let's go for it. And I knew lots of people, so I brought lots of faces on.
Because all events based then, wasn't it?
It started off as Eventful Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And the idea behind that was, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in the event space. So it sounded like a good name, Eventful Entrepreneur. And then it was getting events, festival owners in, and it was getting sports stars in and England players, and just my mates, really. It was. But I went in there with the attitude of, I've got nothing to lose.
Because I can see then you're talking about this, is that if the theme is, if you're listening and it's starting something, when you don't have that background and track knowledge, what you kind of shared there is then it aligned with my space. So I was already a part of the thing that I enjoyed, bringing people together, the events that were happening, what you become known for within the Bournemouth Sevens in that space. And then I'm going to take this now from what I value, and I'm now going to create a podcast. So did that make it easier by saying, this is my space, these are all the people that I know, and I'm now going to put it into a podcast? was that easier because you had already built a space, you just didn't have the medium to deliver it?
Well, people around me who were in podcasting world, I'd say, what are your thoughts? And they were like, go for it. Give it a go. I think it'd be fantastic. Great to see what happens. What they all said to me was stick to a niche, stick to a niche, stick to a niche. And I'm well connected. And for me just to stick to a niche was really difficult. So
would that niche have been then just event people?
Event people or festival owners or promoters or DJs or anything in that sort of world. But I had such a bigger world to invite onto the podcast. I was like, quite enjoying this. Why don't I invite him on? Why don't I invite her on? Why don't I invite him? And it opened up a whole world. Then I wasn't niche. I never wanted to be niche. I couldn't think of anything worse than having the same conversation with different people about the same subject.
What felt good though when you started? What felt good to keep going? If you go back to where you kind of started to pick up the reins of all this, without seeing the results, what felt good with you at the start?
It felt good because I was having amazing conversations with people, fascinating people who've lived eventful lives. That felt good to me. Like I was sitting down for an hour and a half and leaving here going, wow, I've learned something new, or I've given value back to that person. This is great. But going back to anyone who's starting anything, there's lots of people out there procrastinate and just go, one day I will, one day I will, one day I will. Before you know it, they're 60 and 70 and they haven't actually done it. So they're going to have regret. What's the point of having regret when you can take a bit of risk? And I think back then, I didn't really get much feedback because we were only on Apple and Spotify. So no one could leave comments. You could leave a review on Apple, but the chance of someone leaving a review wasn't a big thing. It was a bit, you had to go out of your way a bit more to leave a review. Like if you're leaving you see people leave reviews on restaurants and bars and hotels. Normally, most people go out their way to leave a review if they're cheesed off about something, and because we were just on the audio platforms and we weren't on the visual platforms, like the visual platforms are your TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube. We weren't on them for 2 years. So I was doing this podcast in the hope that people were liking it. And it's okay with your mate saying, oh, that's good, Dodge. And your family saying, that's great. But we weren't getting full-on feedback for the amount of people that were listening. And what I made sure was I didn't want to know the amount of people listening because I know it would be your mum, your dad, your best mates and doing it. And then it kind of grew from there. But you have to start somewhere. And if you start with 0 followers and 0 not cluing what you do, that's where the fun is.
So as well, picking up on that you just said there, so it's not being derailed by looking at the stats.
No,
because we're always driven via a dashboard.
Yeah, but you can't, Marky. You can't look at the stats, mate. You can't. This is a business. When I started, I didn't realise it was a business. I just thought it was 2 people chatting. But over the last 5 years, Facebook are paying you. TikTok are paying you. YouTube are paying you. Like it's turned into a business, but it wasn't meant to be a business, but I treated it like a business because for me, I just wanted to get through 3 years and then see what happens. My 1,000-day rule I always talk about, trying to break the back of something after 1,000 days. So you weren't getting, like in anything in entrepreneurship, you have to promote yourself. You can't wait for someone to be promoting you. You can't wait for people, you can't wait for people clapping you when you're working every single day. And that's why this word everyone keeps talking about is consistency. In my word, it's just graft. Coming back the next day, when people aren't clapping you, you've got to be clapping yourself.
I guess as well, another word, so I've got another letter to pick up on that as well, you just kind of highlighted there, is around curiosity. And the reason things have progressed is just having this innate curiosity, not just in terms of the guests and the people that you have, but how you learn a skill and you build from that thing of curiosity. The question coming to is, are you led a lot of the time by strategy, or is curiosity help lead your thinking over the years? Curiosity
wins all day long for me.
Why is that?
Just because I've been curious since a kid. I was always the one at school asking the questions because I didn't know the bloody answers. I was always the one who found it hard at school to try to learn something and regurgitate it back on a piece of paper as an exam. It didn't work with me. I grew up living in pubs, as you know, in London, and I was just around adults the whole time, and I was just curious about everything. How, who, when, why, what's he doing there? How does he do that? What do you do for a living? And that was from a young age, the age of 10. Roll on, God knows how many decades later, I'm doing exactly the same thing, but I'm being paid to do it on a podcast, being curious.
Do you think that skill's knocked out of people, though? That thing of following, because you always have to be right. And what you're saying there is that you don't have to
You
be right. It's
don't
okay
have to
to
be-
ask questions.
Yeah.
But with people that are trying to start something, that's obviously a tricky place because they're led by their industry or what other people are doing. And you're saying, I started this because I just didn't know where it would end.
Yeah.
And if I was led by my own curiosity, I can figure it out as I go along.
Yeah. Naivety in business is a superpower. Naivety is a superpower. Curiosity is a superpower, but people don't talk about this. Naivety, for you to go and start something and not follow a journey that someone else is doing in front of you, thinking, well, if I copy them, really copy them, this is what I've got to do. Not knowing is beautiful. And that's exactly what happened in the setting up the festival world, setting up the student nightclub world in my 20s, and then my 30s in the festival world, and now the podcasting world. Just do it your way. You can get snippets of what people are doing ahead of you, but just do it your style and your way, whatever business you're going into.
Because this is the thing I'm picking up of what we're chatting about here is that you can find, this is the kind of, that help, is that find something that you know that you cannot stop.
Yes.
Because it wasn't as though, I guess it wasn't a case of I'm going to do 5 episodes and I'm going to bank it and then I'm going to come back in 2 months' time. I guess for anything, I guess the lesson for everyone is if there is something that we want to get up and running that we show an interest in, we have to start something that we know we can come back to again and again
every single day. Because if you don't do something you enjoy, you can only take it so far in business. And that's why I'm seeing, as we know, 90% of businesses fail, like a high percentage fail after the first 3 years and then 5 years. Because if you don't absolutely love something, there's going to be so many days you get out of bed and go, I can't be bothered today. But that's when discipline kicks in, of doing the stuff you don't want to do on the days you don't want to do it, but you go and do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like that is what gets you out of bed. But if you have something that you feel that you are growing, but actually deep down when the days are tough and it's grey outside and you've got to go and graft on something, there's going to be a point where you go, I've had enough. I'm jacking this in. And that's the bit, that's the bit when you jack it in, you go, I want to find another shiny new object. And so many people try to find shiny new objects when launching businesses. You'll go there for a couple of years, you see your mate doing something over there, and you see someone doing cryptocurrency and someone doing a SaaS business, and you're thinking, I could do a bit of that and I could do a bit of that. You've lost your focus.
Because that comes to what you're saying there is the role it serves for an audience. Yeah. So if you have something that you're interested in that's relevant to an audience who can stand with you, I think I'm picking up on here with this thread around that the audience comes afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you look at it that way, that the audience comes after
Definitely.
You've put the hours in?
Yeah, definitely. Because you have to think, well, I certainly do, whether it was building the sportswear brand or whether it was building the business we have. I felt the same way about this. But the amplification that you have with a podcast is off the charts. Because people are now WhatsApping their mates, have listened to this episode. Everyone's listened. Well, a lot more people listen to podcasts now than they were 5 years ago. So people normally, what happen is that they get a podcast they like and they'll put it on their mates' WhatsApp group. Lads, have listened to this. Girls, have listened to this. And it infiltrates the UK like that. And when I first started, I was just making sure my area knew about it.
Regional, where you lived.
Regional, yes, because I knew you can't just jump in and become national straight away, whatever business you do. It's a lot easier now that there is social media. Don't get me wrong, because you can become a global business very, very quickly right now, which is wonderful. And that's why there's such opportunity for entrepreneurs now to launch businesses. Because you can become global. You can keep a lifestyle business where you're under 10 staff. And that is my sweet spot. It's being under 10 staff in any of the businesses and becoming a global business. But going back to the point here, Marky, with the podcast, I just made sure that all my mates know. Whether all your mates want to listen to your podcast or not, it's a different thing. You don't know whether they're going to listen to it or not, or they're just giving you the thumbs up saying, well done, mate, good work. They won't listen to it. They might not listen to it. And then what happens is if you put out a good content, it just gently infiltrates. So you start from your Bournemouth and Poole, and then it might just drift up to Oxford, might drift to southwest London if you're doing then it starts drifting, and then all of a sudden people are just WhatsApping around the UK, and people are now, due to YouTube, it changes everything, because I think YouTube, I've had 65, 66, 67 million viewers watching your face on their tellies or on their phones. And then YouTube has got this great part of it that's quite easy to share to people via WhatsApp and quite easy to share via people via social media as well.
Because this is quite an interesting thing you say, by you saying how you can build something organically. And I guess it's okay now when you look at the stats of the show and the listenership, but sometimes an addressable audience beats sometimes going super big quickly. When you say that, I'll start with my friends and people I know, and it can gradually build from there. What have been some of the big successes? If somebody was starting something, whatever it is, a creative endeavor, whether it is an audio, a video, a writing, or whatever it is, a business side, when are the moments that somebody would see where it works? Is it the fact that more people are joining it? That is beyond money, by the way. That is beyond revenue. Where would people see where they know what they're doing is gradually working?
For me, it would be your first ever sale. And people kind of miss this conversation because you get your first sale, you go, I want my second sale, my third sale, whatever business you're doing. Your first sale is key. Knowing like entrepreneurs must be absolutely mental to become entrepreneurs, that you're there with your mate, having a pint, you come up with an idea, and to put that idea and turn that into reality is massive. So anyone out there who's got a business, massive respect to you, because you'd have had an idea that normally my ideas come along when something's not working. I'm like, something's really cheesing me off about that. I think there's a gap in the market there. That's when you know you've got an opportunity. But your first sale is the one where you get the buzz from. And then you build from there. But you will find out at some point that your business may plateau at somewhere. And it's trying to break that plateau to go from $2,000 a month turnover, because businesses take a long time. Then you start going into 10 months. It might take you a year to hit £100,000 turnover. It might take you 2 years to hit £100,000 turnover. But if you are consistent and you are constantly tweaking and improving your brand, and you're constantly putting yourself out there as the face of your brand, more people will know you and want to do business with you and your brand and your business. You know, and it's such a wonderful thing to be an entrepreneur. I don't know any different, Marky. I've never been employed, but for anyone out there,
but have you taken risks that, for instance, things that didn't work or things that just didn't pull?
Of course, you throw it out there and see what sticks. But I built 5 brands and business over the last 28 years. We sold 2 of them, still running 3.
Isn't that horrible when you start saying 28? A few years ago,
mate, I know.
15.
I know, mate. It's when I see stuff now and I'm sort of talking that sort of numbers, like, Jesus Christ. Well, like you say, you'd normally go, I did it for 18 years or 7 years. But yeah, it does whack you around the chop sometimes.
What would be your kind of supportive arm to someone that says they've got something, but they haven't quite crossed the line with it, that they wanted to make it live or let other people see it yet? Where's your advice?
Start today, be strong-minded and don't care what other people think. The biggest thing holding people back in business is the fear of being ridiculed by your friends.
Do you think that holds us back then?
I think
our own personality and our own insecurities?
Your own belief system, your own beliefs of you as a kid, of being judged at school about doing something. Now you've gone and got a job. Now you're thinking, I don't want a job because it's not reliable having a job. I want to set up my own business, but I've got the fear of setting my own business because I'm putting myself out there, that there'll be certain people in your peer group that will be really supportive of you. There'll be a number of them that will be supportive. A number of them will pretend they don't really care. And there'll be a number of them, a very small amount, maybe, depending on what your circle's like, will be like, they'll be thinking, I don't want him to succeed or her to succeed because I'm in a boring job and I don't want them to succeed.
Why do you pick up on this before?
Yeah.
Why do you say that? Why?
Because that's what happens. That's what happens. People, you got to remember that your friends and your tight friends and your family will want you to be successful. What happens on your entrepreneurial journey is when you go and tell someone an idea, everyone will be supportive. Then you start getting the social media handles under your name or whatever you can do. Then you go and build your website. Then you go and build your brand logo and you're getting all excited and super excited. And that's the moments that it's so joyous. You've got this idea in your mind that you could turn this idea into reality and for it to become a business. But for it to become a business, it has to earn profit. And if it doesn't earn profit, I just see it as someone's doing a hobby. So there's lots of people doing hobbies out there, and that's a fair play, but you're trying to break the back of this hobby to turn it into a business that you can employ 1 or 2 members of staff. And but what you don't want to be is you'll get to a stage where you're paying for your members of staff, then you're praying at the end of it, have I got enough money to pay myself at anything at the end of it? Then to break the back of that bit, you want to be paying all your staff and then paying yourself a nice dividend at the end of the year, whether that's 30 grand dividend, whether it's 20 grand dividend, whether it's 100 or 150 or 300 grand dividend. You know, there's a big social media market has made a big thing that people should be earning £1 million profit, and everyone's talking these big mega numbers. These big mega numbers might be people who are VCs, venture capitalists, talking millions and this and that. They might have never run a business before, and they're talking these big numbers. They can talk big numbers when they're out in the bar and a restaurant and this and that. But when you actually break people down, I love the go-getters, the entrepreneurs who are building bootstrapped, not the ones who have got an idea then go and raise 500 grand for 40% of their business, because those lot haven't put the yards in. The hard yards for those people going to get it is the hardest part, is to go and raise the money and raise the capital for it. That's a job in itself, so respect for that. But you can't be then massively celebrating, going, yeah, I've raised all this money. You haven't built the hard yard. You've got to build the foundations of your business. My advice to people is start up and be a startup and don't borrow anything if you can.
Right, okay.
And for that, you build your brand, you build your marketing, you build your channels, you do your homework, and I mean do your homework. You are on the internet 24/7 researching who's doing what, what's the competition, what does that look like, picking up the phone under different names. Hello, it's Thomas here. Could I ask about could you give me some detail? How much turnover were you doing last year? You might find someone on the phone who's giving you this information. There might be someone in that office who's giving you information they shouldn't be giving you. Then you're building a picture up in your head what this business could be. Guys, we've been running this podcast now for 5.5 years. We've had some most amazing business guests on here. Simon Squibb, Daniel Priestley, Barry Hearn. The list just goes on, from billionaires to people who have built brands. If you want to come on the podcast and talk about your business and sit here with me in the studio and tell your story, go check out dodgewoodall.com/guest and check out the 3-minute video. We've also left the link below as well.
So I'm seeing it. Everything you're talking about here is all about longevity, persistence, understanding that marketplace that you are a part of, and then making that step forward within that to build from it. So question comes down to where are the winners? Who are the people? Like I'm bringing it back to, for instance, your podcast. So where it started in 2020 to where it is today. Yeah. Where do you see if somebody is building something, starting something, finding traction with it? Where do you see where the success is? Is it the fact that they're still running a tight ship? Is it the fact that there's just more people, or is it the fact that they're building a space that other people want to join in with and they're being listened to, or it just works?
The success is you waking up and going, do you know what? I'm happy going to work. That's success. Are you happy going to work? Are you happy building something for you and your family? Or if you're in your 20s, you haven't got a family, you're building something for you, for your future. You know, you're not waiting on that monthly salary by your boss, who might just have a mood swing one day and goes, right, I don't want you anymore, and he pays you a month off, and then what? But I think my point here, Mark, is like, I'm talking people in startups here, whether you're turning over 100 grand or up to £500,000. Remember, people, there's only like 3% or 4% of people get to £1 million turnover, by the way.
Okay.
That's really important to say, because I think when people are in businesses, when they see restaurateurs in business, they must be going, it must be £2 million turnover, 1.5 million. The margins are so tight across every industry that I know. You know, if you're doing £1 million turnover, if you're lucky to make a profit at the end of the year, fair play.
Do you think that's bad for people and distracting? Because you do see that around a lot.
What do you mean?
When you kind of see people, when you just kind of highlighted there that where the success is a lot fewer than people think or anticipate. Because that can be damaging for people when we're led by numbers. You just kind of said there, it's quite small. And that can knock people when people are looking at the growth of somebody else. Someone has more subscribers, someone has more people in their database, someone else has achieved success a lot quickly. just your advice and how you look at that, and whether that would affect somebody's confidence, or how you look at that today. Because there's a lot of puffing our chest out there.
Yeah, because of social media.
Yeah,
there is pros and cons to social media, but no one ever puts up a shit day on social media or on my business. I tell you what, in fact, I saw the most beautiful thing yesterday.
Go on.
This young lady who owns a restaurant in Bournemouth, Italian.
Okay.
My God, she put a post up. You know what? I actually want to find this post, and I was like, I want to invite you on the podcast. She's basically a young mum who's trying to run a restaurant, and she put up there saying, I've just given birth. I've got no time with my kid. I'm trying to run this restaurant. My business rates have gone from 300 quid a month. In April, they're going to jump out to 800 quid a month.
Okay.
Me to order all my butter in for this restaurant is normally £10 for all my butter. It's now, £20 now, £40. Everything is just doubled. And she put it on this post. I was like, wow, that's the first person I've seen be so honest that her business is on the brink. And she's got so much love because she's real. So I reached out to her and said, well, I want to get on the podcast. How can we promote your brand? Let me break down with you what you're currently going through. Because I reckon there's 1,000 people like you are currently going through what you're going through. But everyone's too proud to say anything, because it's like anything. If you're running a business and it's not doing too well, and you're having a meal with your mates or going down the pub with your mates and they're chatting, how's business? Most people go, yeah. And most people go, I'm really busy. What's business like? Yeah, really busy. I know as someone who's been around the block, I know if someone is not making a profit or is really struggling, then how can we help? How can I help? What are you going through at the moment? Like, there are so many people struggling at the moment, mate, because no one has been taught how to be an entrepreneur and how to run a business.
But do you see that
everyone's trying to work it out themselves?
Do you see that as a good time to start something? Like you kind of say there, look, it's pretty delicate out there. If somebody's little, or some of the reasons somebody's listened is because they saw the title was started from zero.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a risky thing with the environment that we're a part of? Or do you look at it and say, well, there's never been a better time? If there's something now and you know there's a role that you can serve.
Double-edged sword, mate. Where we are today in the world is very different to where we were 5 years ago. And certainly 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, between 2016, 2017, 2018, everyone was booming. Everyone was flying. There was an abundance of cash being around. Everyone was out partying. So you had all the bars busy, all the restaurants were busy, all the clubs were busy. All the bingo halls were busy with your nan and granddad in there. It was just busy.
Love the way you got the word bingo in, by the way.
You've got to get the old bingo in it, yeah. My good old nan. But my point is there was an abundance of money, and there's a lot of exchange of money going on then. And in 2020, it just got zoom. So if you are starting a business today, you have to be online. You have to be. You know, I know businesses that have got businesses, people who are running businesses, and I'm like, are you online? No. But we've got 4 big shops.
Okay.
Oh my God, your business rates are going to jump up. Your national insurance, your employer's tax base is jumping up. So everyone you employ, you've got to pay 15% on top. Your business rates is 50%. You've got to pay 50% to the council of what your rent is. So if your rent is 50 grand a year, just for anyone listening out there, if your rent is 50 grand a year for a shop, you've got to give 25 grand on top, 25 grand on top of that to the council. And every time you employ someone, you'll give the government 15% on that person's salary.
Okay.
That's before you spend a penny, before you bring in any money. And then before you bring in any money, you've then got to pay 20% VAT. So before you are making a penny, you've got all these turnover taxes going on. So, but people aren't taught this. They're going into business and then finding this out.
Where do you see, though, because that's kind of a sobering way to look at it, where do you see the hope? Is it the fact that the abundance of places that you can put your flag in the sand, or whether it is that it doesn't cost much if I'm going to start a podcast, I'm going to do this, or I've kind of know that if I can build a website, whatever. By the way, I'm not us going down an AI path here,
no.
But where you see hope for people, where you do see where there is opportunity, where we can be nimble and quick, that probably hasn't been around before, that we can do, that we can take advantage of what's in front of us.
I think what people are craving for right now is, because everything has become so fake online,
right?
Artificial intelligence. That's basically, everything's fake. You can get all your answers. It's great. Don't get me wrong. It's got some good things as well. But I don't know what's real and what's not real at the moment when I'm watching clips of stuff. People want humans. People want human connection, Mark. And human connection is by live events. We've lost that. We've lost the love of people getting up and dancing, singing, being with their mates. You know, people have become so insular over the last 5 years that they're staying at home. Some people have got anxiety. They don't even want to go out the house.
Let me give you that. I got an anecdote for that. You ready for this? Talking about people not wanting to go out. And I discovered this in 2021. So so with the media community, we did live shows in the theatre. So we turned the theatre into giant Zoom screens, right? Yep. And nobody turned up. Yep. Everyone was on Zoom. Yep. And for that first time, I realised nobody needed to go out. And that's where we are today. Nobody has to. So the things that we do where we're stepping our best foot forward with, it has to be really, really good. Yeah. Because we know we have choice now, and we can choose to step into the space or we can choose not to. So whatever we're building, whatever we're trying to put our heart and soul into, the world is a topsy-turvy place. But we have to create something for people that they want to join in with and be a part of.
Agree.
Bit like a podcast or a festival that we have as well.
Anyone listening out there, wherever you are listening in the country, go and support your local festival. Go and support your local festival, because it's important. You will have the weekend of your life. A lot of people have forgotten what it's like to go to a festival. Go on 2-3 days, let your hair down and forget everything, all the troubles you got for 3 days, and go and meet new people and have new conversations.
Here's the thing I'm learning from this conversation as well, is that we're talking about if you're kind of building something, starting something, a thing that's really important is almost to be yourself, like as you highlighted there with a lady with a restaurant, what she's trying to do. So alongside the business acumen and what we're trying to build, as long as we can do it as well, where we're not necessarily fake or we're creating a persona that we're trying to pretend to be something we're not, if we have something and we can lead it by being ourselves, then that becomes the advantage all along.
But why would you not? Why would you try to be someone you're not? I don't understand. I've never understood that. It's so much easier.
I haven't answered that.
It's so much easier just to be yourself.
I know that sounds easy, but I kind of know along the years that status and everything else that comes with work and everything else, because we have to be seen as worthy to someone else, whether it's their time or whether it's their money, what they want to do. But now maybe it's age or whatever it is, but the more that we can step forward and be normal and realize there's no difference between the work we do and who we are in our everyday lives is the role that it serves. So that comes back full circle to, if we're trying to build something, the thing that we should never forget is the reason why we're doing it in the first place, whether it is when you started the podcast around curiosity, around trying to figure this thing out as I go along. But I know I'm going to show an interest in this, and I know I'm going to start this because I have a willingness to explore where this goes. Does having time on your side help? Did you have for instance, like you kind of worked along with the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Whilst you had a Sevens festival, it was like, I don't know when it's going to come back.
Yeah, that was a lot of pressure there, mate. There's been many different times in my timeline where there's been so much pressure. But I thrive on pressure. I love pressure. There's no such thing as stress in my vocabulary. That links to heart disease. It's just pressure. Can you handle the pressure of a business? Can you handle the pressure of you having to break the back of your business? Because you're going to have a lot of sleepless nights. Fact. That's part of it. You're going to have many days you're going, is this actual business going to work? Or am I just going to be slogging my plums off here just to get through this, to one day hopefully earn a pound note, hopefully earn some money? Many businesses don't get to that point. But the hardest thing that I see, the thing that I've seen over the years is people jumping into businesses, chucking in 5 grand, 10 grand or 100 grand into their business, but they haven't done their full on homework. Before you jump into it, if you're employed today, I would, and you've got an idea, you've got to remember there's another 104 days you've got to yourself throughout the year. 104 days, Saturday and Sunday times the 52 weeks a year. To yourself.
I was trying to figure out what's that for.
Yes, but my point, you've got that, and you've also got from 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. when you put the kids to bed, till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. You add all those up and you add up your weekends. It's a lot of It's a lot of time you can.
And I guess that's the trade-off, isn't it? In the stuff we're trying to do, the thing we're trying to build, there will always be a trade-off. As you said that, It may be, I'm not going to watch the football on Monday night on telly or play the five-a-side. I'm going to put this time here to do the thing, whether it is writing, whether it is building something, whether it is learning a new skill that goes with it. If we're trying to build something that from a standing start, there is always a trade-off somewhere. Otherwise, we're just going to get steamrolled and we're going to be forgotten about, of course, and become irrelevant.
Well, I think the point there, Mark, is most people who are frustrated with their boss or have a annoying line manager or an annoying boss who they don't enjoy being around, but they have to turn up and smile each day as if they're really enjoying their work, and through their teeth they're thinking, you absolute... Whoa. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Just over 18s, is it, this one? But my point is there... How horrible that must be, going to work not knowing, going to work knowing you don't enjoy the people around you. Certainly don't enjoy your boss telling you what to do, because he's not been taught how to be a boss. He's just got there because he's been there many more years than you have. Doesn't mean he's a good manager of people. He might be good at sales. He might not be a good manager of people. But my point here is that if you ever wanted to leave that job, you've got to be prepared that you're not turning up at 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock and guaranteeing your money at the end of the month, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grand at the end of the month. You're going to live like a student for 3 years if you go and set up your own business.
However, come into this.
And you will be working 18, 20 hours a day. And you will not be present in certain conversations on a Saturday or a Sunday because you've got stuff to do. You need to be cracking on. Like entrepreneurship is another world. And if you're not prepared for it, and there's a high percentage of people that aren't prepared for it, they're going to have a massive shock.
Here is my other side to this. This is what you're talking about here to kind of start to round things up, is that you kind of highlighted a pretty volatile world that may not suit us. And if we are working, that is making us feel unhappy. But the other side is, if we don't try, we'll never know.
Absolutely. And I'd rather take a risk now than regret when I'm 70. All day long. So if you're out there and you're thinking about it, take that risk. But I don't just jump out. I see people going like, just jump out of my job and I'm going to go all in that. Start building something in the background.
So that could be something else, whether it is more writing, whether it is your own little audio or something else there.
Whatever it may be. Whatever it may be. But make sure you're getting a pay packet. You know, I know people who are working on their own business in paid time for someone else's work. And they're getting away with it. Good luck to them.
Well, as to kind of round up this conversation, so as we kind of went through this, I understand this idea that we stay hard to what we believe in and our virtues and what we value. And if we can find a space where other people want to join in with us, to listen, to read, to buy, to watch, as long as time is on our side and we're prepared to put those hours in, there may be something just around that corner.
And I think the thing here is that you'll know who your real friends are when you're an entrepreneur. They're the ones who will buy off you. They're the ones who will read a review. They're the ones you can go and tell them if you've had a breakthrough or something successful has happened to you. If you think about it, if something successful has happened to you in business, there's certain people who are your friends you might not want to go and tell because you're feeling like, oh no, but they might, oh no. You'll know your proper ones. You go, mate, this has happened to me today and something's just massive happened, and they're super happy for you. Hold them with two hands, protect those friends of yours.
That's an interesting point, because I don't think we lean into that enough about our allies and the people that are there to, as simple as doing
We've had
the
this conversation
about
what you're doing, Marky, about you doing your events live and stuff. We've had this, and me and you know who are supportive of you, and me and you know who aren't supportive of you, but those people aren't supportive of you, may still just give you a little like, and that's weird. Do you know what I mean? It's weird. I look in and you look in.
Your little black and white world of like, why you bother doing that? Why bother?
But why would you? I find it difficult why someone would do that when we know that they're not supportive of you.
Yeah.
And I look in, I think that's odd. But then is that called a thing? Someone said to me the other day, oh, it might be called a thing called a frenemy. I was like, what's that? It's like a friend but an enemy. I was like, that's weird, isn't it? You're either on board and you're a good mate, or you can do one. It's like kind of.
I guess they're out there. These things that will lead us astray or down these slippery slopes. I hope there was something there as a good place to start, Dodge.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If anyone's out there, I go for it, but do your homework. Oof. Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to see someone on the show, leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, do us a favour, show us a bit of love, press the subscribe button, and it allows us to grow the show even bigger and bigger each week. Nice one.